to be here with all of you in this ideas conference. My presentation would be in three parts. First, let me introduce myself. I'm John Samuel, working with Oxfam International as the Asia Director, and also looking after the work on fiscal justice, civic space, etc. globally. Oxfam has brought out a report a few months ago, and the forward was by Professor Jayati Ghosh. And the report finding some of those, highlights, I would say, the wealth of the 10 richest men, and it's men, double with increase of 99% of humanity are worse off because of COVID. During the COVID time, there's a huge increase of wealth, largest. And in Asia, I would come India, Thailand, etc. with examples. And this inequality also during the post-pandemic, the study shows contributes to the death of at least one person in every 4 seconds. 250 men have more wealth than all 1 billion women and girls in Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean combined. And this is, when compared with 1995, this is 20 times more. And this statistics is telling, and I don't want to take much time into this, but the fact of the matter is, inequality was there. In 2015, the whole world got together and said Agenda 2030. And SDG 10 was on inequality, and SDG 5 is on gender inequality. When we really look back, after 7 years, we are really worse. World was actually, instead of moving forward, the situation is really bad. If you really look at the inequality index in Asia, this Malaysia is a very unequal society, and now followed by Sri Lanka. And we have seen in what's happened in Sri Lanka. So I just, just to say that, this is Ukraine happened, pandemic happened, but inequality was there. It got exasperated. It increased. It became much more dramatic. And most of those who made money are those in the mining, those who are in the pharmaceuticals, those who are, some of them tech. And when you look at in Asia, who are these people and what is the political economy of it? In India, the people who made maximum money, actually the first year of the COVID, 65% was the profit of Adani's. It was a very small firm. Now he's going to be one of the richest person in the world. Very classic case of whether it is Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, 2-3 common pattern happens. It's not the old capitalism, it's crony capitalism. So the rich people invest in political parties, and the politicians and investment, they get return on investment by getting almost all government contracts and getting tax benefit. And this CP in Thailand, those who are in the agro business, in India, Adani and Ambani. So you have a pattern across Asia. That's number one pattern is, it's not even free market capitalism. It's total crony capitalism. There's no transparency, and there is a nexus which is perpetuating this inequality. Nexus between very few political elites and very few corporate elites. And the fact is, again, these countries, if you really look at it, the owner of media ownership, right, it's totally taken over. Ambani owns 121 channels. Adani's are also going to take. So you have a corporate media do not tell the truth. So you cannot, you just go and look at the media scan. There's very less report on inequality. And injustice is a word which is being sort of wiped out. And this is country after country. Now, you all been reading about Sri Lanka. I used to know these rulers of Sri Lanka who are who ran away, right? And in the 1990s, in this kind of meetings, he used to come. Mahinda Rajapaksa was a socialist. And he said he is against the, family rule. Really what happened is, the first thing he did was, and this is the thing, he finished up all the civil society organizations. Oxfam decided to phase out of Sri Lanka because it's very difficult to work. So they suppress the truth that is a very unequal society, and inequality has dimension with ethnicity and identity as well. And anybody who raised this question, he said, legislated out of the country. Civil society, United Nations organizations. So the first thing was, it was an illiberal space which closed on the civic space. Nobody knew what was happening. Those who were warned, I remember many years ago, in 2009, Lesanda Vignaraja wrote about this, and he was shot dead. And the fact is, Sri Lanka is so dramatic. There was widening inequality, huge borrowing, and media blacked out it. And anybody who questioned were seen as the enemies of the nation, and it exploded. You go to now Pakistan, very unequal and unjust society. Now, yesterday I was asking how much is the sort of, foreign currency? Just 8 billion. So 3 to 4 weeks down, there's definitely going to be a default. And again, political turmoil. So what's happening in now? Thailand, what really happened? When these big, companies slowly knocked out the democratic process and civil society organization, again, NGOs are not supposed to speak. Indonesia. So all over Asia, what are the 3-4 things about inequality and injustice which is happening? 3 things one is happening. Across Asia, you have a new corporate crony capitalists coming in. Number 2, they are investing in political elites. Number 3, media is both over and corporatized by them. So media is silenced. Number 4, civic space and academics who speak out are being silenced. Right? And this is happening across. The only exception to some extent is South Korea, for various reasons. And the 5th is, these countries exchange the same thing. So what India has done on FCRA, now Indonesia is doing it. So as a result of that, the injustice, today, all the organizations who work on Dalit rights, women's rights, their FCRA has gone on human rights in India. So if you keep quiet, if you do some technical stuff, you are okay. The moment you talk about gender justice, justice on the basis of caste, on ethnicity, you are not supposed to speak. So what are the lessons from India? If you speak out, Oxfam in India lost the FCRA just for 2 reports. One is, in the tea estates of Assam, people are still paid in the 1960s thing. Half of the money is given as food and half salary. So they get not even minimum wage because now the food is free, right? So that is also being calculated. That report, the government said it hints the economic interest of the country. So if you question any of those big corporate, the first thing is you are the enemy of the nation. And the lessons learned is, you need to really change the language. The more you speak out, the direct politics, direct policy change, there's a big change. I'll sum up saying there is a commitment to reducing inequality index. Now, naturally, 152 countries. This is Development Finance International and Oxfam does together this report. Out of 152 countries, only 112 countries don't do anything to reduce inequality. In Asia, the only country who has done some good work is Vietnam. India is the least from the fourth least investing country on health. And one of the, report which proved that health inequality was also the reason that in many of the places where the ruling regime rules, that is where maximum people killed. So the lesson from Asia is going through what I call illiberal democracy, elected democracy, authoritarian and illiberalism, and illiberal oligarchies, whether it is in China or elsewhere. And all these results in covering up inequality and injustice. And as a result of that, this is also the old Amartya Sen said, in democracies, when there is poverty, injustice, etc., get, surface. And that space is very, very less. And this raises very serious challenge for all of us to work beyond all this thing about Ukraine and pandemic, etc. We are living in a very, very increasingly illiberal, elected spaces or oligarchic spaces that changes the entire political economy of change. And there is least space for advocacy. Hence, there is less investment on health, education, and all of them in the post-pandemic situation. It is really bad. And in India, there is hardly any report on post-pandemic inequality. We have seen during pandemic, hundreds of thousands of people walking hundreds of thousands, hundreds of miles just to reach home. You don't really hear about those people now. You don't really know how many people get killed out of poverty and how many poor die. The data is blocked. If the moment you say about it, you are targeted. When you come here, people ask me, why do you want to go there? It never happened in my country. When you go there, what are you going to speak there? So it is such a kind of what you call culture of silence, what Paulo Freire said. There was no surveillance when you go out. Now they say, what exactly are you going to speak? So that's the situation which is in Asia. It's not only in India. It's worse in China. Indonesia used to be better. Even Indonesia, things are very, very difficult. So those are the lessons which we have learned in the last couple of years. Thank you.